first up, we set you up with the basics, how you should handle your money. Now, acquiring money is one thing, hanging on to it and growing it is quite another. So if you want to keep your cash, you'll need to store it safely. Now, many of us tend to do that with a checking account, but putting all your Benjamins in a single location is a risky move. Here to tell us why is Ross Mac, Yahoo Finance contributor and founder of Maconomics. Good to see you. So what are we doing wrong here by just putting things in a checking account and forgetting about it?
Well, one, great to talk with you, Rochelle. When it's all said and done, right, the average person is thinking about, okay, where should I put my money? Somewhere safe, I want to have access to it, and that's a checking account. But there's so many other concepts to think about, right? So when it's all said and done, you want to have at least 3 to 6 months of your necessary expenses, right, as an emergency fund saved in your bank account. But the vast majority of the people just leave it in their checking account. And so here are things to actually consider when it comes to that, right? One, you have to take into account inflation, right? Right now, we're talking about over 3% inflation. And the reality is the average checking account is going to get you, what, 0.07% interest? So the idea is you have to find somewhere to actually put your money that's actually going to be able to outpace inflation. So one thing that I always consider is literally saying, let me put at least, right, my emergency fund in a high yield savings account. So a high yield savings account is the great thing to actually consider because it's going to be the exact same thing that's going to be able to give you FDIC insurance as well as easy access to it. However, guess what? We're talking about anywhere from about 4 to 5% interest on your money. So not only are you literally outpacing inflation, but it's a safe place, literally no risk, but also you're literally allowing your money to work for you. And I think the last thing to think about is compounded interest, right? This is a very, very important thing where your money is now working for you. And so there's a rule of 72, right? By putting your money in a high yield account, right, that's getting you roughly 5%, your money will double. Your money will double in about 14 years. However, just leaving your money in a typical savings account that's, paying maybe 0.47%, it'll take a lifetime for your money to double.
And it's interesting because there can be the possibility of leaving too much money in your checking account. So help us figure out what is the formula then for how much should be in there?
So earlier I talked about having 3 to 6 months of your necessary expenses in an emergency fund, right? So if you were to actually break that down to saying, okay, my checking account versus my high yield account, I would literally say maybe 1 to 2 times that should be left in an actual checking account. Because just by definition, a checking account is going to allow you to pay your bills easy. So think about your just day-to-day bills, is your mortgage, your rent. The idea is to at least leave 1 to 2 times there, so to make sure that you never overdraft. And the remaining of that money, I would like for you to have it in a high yield savings account. So we're talking 2 to 4 times in a high yield account.
Got to have a plan for that money. A big thank you there to Ross Mac, who'll be with us later on in the show as well. Good to see you.
Thank you.